Hello, and welcome back to College Algebra, MAT 150. In this lecture, we will be identifying linear functions and computing slope. So we've talked about functions now, and a linear function is a function that can be ultimately simplified to this form: f of x equals mx plus b. So if we look at this first example, we got f of x equals x plus 2. Well, m and b are constants. Okay, so for m in this case we have a 1, and for this b we have a 2. So this is of that form. However, this other function, for example, x times 1 minus x, if you distributed the x, you'd have x minus x squared. And anything with a power higher than 1 for the variable is not linear. So this is not linear. So this is linear. It's a linear function. Not linear. Okay. And before we go on and talk more about linear functions, and in particular equations of lines, we need to talk about a thing called slope. So slope, and we denote it with m, and notice that that is something that was part of our linear function. So just by convention, slope, again denoted by m, it's between 2 points. It's defined being between 2 points, and basically it's given by this equation. We think about it as rise over run, and it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where we have the subscripts of 1 being from one point and the subscripts with 2 being from another point. We say x1 and x2 can't be the same, otherwise we have what's called undefined slope, and that would give us what's called a vertical line. So the slope, to find the slope between 2 points, so we have negative 1, 1 and 3, 2. Notice again, just like before, we have these ones and the ones and twos. It doesn't matter which one we pick as being the first one or the second one, as long as we're consistent. So for computing slope, my recommendation is to start with, pick one of the points. It doesn't really matter. Just because it's the first one, I'm going to start with this one. Put the y over the x. So rise over run, y over the x. So in this case, we have our x point is our x coordinate is negative 1, our y coordinate is 1, so 1 over negative 1. And then, just as part of the formula, I put a minus and a minus, so I got the first two. Then I'm going to go to the other point and put the y over the x there. So the y over this x, so 2 over 3. And then we have this. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. And then a negative over a negative, we can simplify that to be positive. So the slope is 1/4. All right. If during the solving process, again, you have division by 0, that means that these two, so you have division by 0, that means that these two x coordinates were the same. And that means that you ultimately have a vertical line. And we say the slope is undefined as an answer. And that concludes everything from section 1.3, part 1.